Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a dip powder video. The colors I'm going to use are from a new collection that's come out by Revel Nail. It's a Christmas collection. It's called Deck the Halls. They do a drop-in of Christmas colors every year. They did it a bit early this year. So this is some of the colors. There are 6 colors in total. There are 4 here, and then I'm going to be using 2 of them in today's mani. These are 4 of the 6 colors: Naughty List, Countdown, Candy Cane, and Carol. They're all really pretty colors, but today I'm going to be using Fruitcake, which is also from that same collection. I'll leave a link for that collection in the description box below. The other color is Holly, which is a really pretty green color, a green and red glittery type color. It looks funky in the jar, but trust me, it comes out looking really nice. And the other one is a mainline color, meaning they have it all the time at Revel Nail, and it's called Festival. So these are the colors I'm going to use today. I was kind of trying to decide placements, but I think I'm going to do the green on the thumb, the pointer, and the pinky, and do something else between the other 2 fingers. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'll decide as I go through. Dip liquids wise, I'm using today a base of Double Dip, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites. Very thin, easy to go on, easy to apply. As you can see here, it's very easy to apply. I really love this dip base. I'll go over which activator and top coat I'm going to use later on in the video. So for right now, I'm going on with my first dip of the green color, which is Holly. You see how smooth that went on because the dip liquids are really thin. They go on evenly. The only thing you really have to do is clean up your cuticles, which I use a marbling tool to do that. I will leave a link for that also in the description box. And pat down your glitters on top of the nail to make sure that the glitters are laying flat. The glitter for this one didn't really need patting down, so we're just going to move on to the next nail. Do you guys see that color? The color is already coming through. I'm loving this color so far. I've really just used that dotting tool to clean up the cuticle around the edges. As long as you're good about putting your dip base on where you're not flooding your cuticles, where your dip base is really thin. Again, I can't say that enough. Really thin dip bases work best for me, because I just don't like a bulky nail. I like a thin, natural looking nail. That's the look I prefer. So thin dip liquids usually gets that done for me. For each nail, I'm going to do 2 dips of color and then move on to the next step. After each layer of dip, it's always best to dust off your fingers and dust off any extra dip powder that you have on your fingers, because that glitter, dip colors, sometimes they bleed onto the brush of your base, which will turn your whole base that color. So it's always best to just brush off the extra dip powder that you have on your finger before you go back in with that second coat for dip. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the second coat. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit, and I'll be back. And this is what I mean by pressing down the glitters. Use the pads of your fingers and just lay each one of those pieces of glitter that are sticking up on the nail. Make sure you just try to lay them as flat as you can. That's going to help keep you from filing as much. And when you file colored glitter, sometimes you file the color off the glitter and it leaves you with a piece of glitter there that's silver instead of a piece of glitter, in this case, that would be green or red. It would end up being silver on the surface, or part silver and part red. So it's really important during the dipping process to try to get the glitters to lay as flat as possible when you're doing that. And that goes for any glitter. Any glitter you're using, pretty much this is what you should do. Use your finger to press it down. You can also use a piece of wax paper. I use that sometimes. Nothing sticks to wax paper, so if you use that to press down glitters, it will press down and not stick to your finger. So, but today I just happened to use my finger because it was quick and it was there. You can already see how gorgeous that holly color is. It's a beautiful deep color green, which I absolutely love. So we are going on now to topping it with a clear coat. Now clear coat, you top glitters. I top every mani with a clear coat because I file with an e-file and I want to make sure that I'm not going to file off the glitters. Now when you try to file glitter dips, they can be problematic, I'm not going to lie, but it just takes a little bit of patience. When you're putting your dip liquids on and you're dipping into a glitter, pressing your glitters down and covering them with a clear gives you a layer of protection when you're filing so that you can get things nice and smooth on the top without filing down into the glitter to make things smooth on top. It's kind of like a filler in other words. It's kind of filling the holes that are there or the gaps that are there or the little bumps or lumps that are there, and you're just smoothing out the surface to make sure that it looks smooth on the top. The clear coat on the top is what you're filing. That's going to look smooth because it's clear. You're not going to even see it. You're just going to see the beautiful color underneath. Alright, then we're going to give that clear coat a few minutes to dry, and then we're going to dust off any excess that's around the nail or on top of the nail. Anything that didn't soak into the dip liquids, any type of loose clear, we want to dust off because we want to make sure that that doesn't cloud the nail. Sometimes if you have extra clear on top of your nail, it'll cloud the nail and make the nail look cloudy and cover up the beautiful color you have underneath. So as for activator, I am using eye gel activator. I really enjoy eye gel activator. It has mixed reviews or whatever, but I tend to enjoy it. It really does well for me. So I use eye gel activator, and I'm also going to use eye gel top coat. Those two things work well together. Now when I try to separate them, they didn't work so well together. But when I have them together and using them as one in the same mani, meaning the activator and the top coat together, they came out perfect. So I use it all the time. You can see my jar looks old and raggedy, but it is what it is. I applied 2 coats of activator to those nails because I don't want any of the other colors I'm going to be using to get into those colors. And when you activate it, that makes it very hard, so nothing is going to get into it. Then we move on to Fruitcake, which I decided to do on my ring finger. Now, this Fruitcake color, I looked at it in the jar, I looked at it on the swatch, and I was confident that I was going to hate it. I thought I was going to hate the color. Like, it did not look like anything I was interested in until I dipped into it. I was like, oh, okay. I see what's going on with this one. It was just some little tinsel pieces in what looked to be a clear or semi-clear base with some tinsel pieces, like tinsels like you would have on a Christmas tree. And when I put it on my nail, I was like, oh, I love it. It looks like Christmas. I love it. So then I went in for a second dip of it. Then I really loved it. So I was like, this color is everything. I absolutely love the color. Perfect for Christmas. That's what this set is all about. It's a Christmas set for people to order Christmas colors early. So this one is perfect. And here I'm just using my finger to press down the tinsel pieces to lay down flat, just as I did with the other glitters. It's not really a glitter, but there are pieces that are sticking up, so you do want them to lay down flat, and I use my finger for that. Clean up the cuticles with my marbling tool, and then we're going to cover this nail with clear, activate, and then move on to the red nail. Now when I looked at my nail a little closer, I could see right at the tip there was some part that didn't really get tinsel on it. Simply just add some dip base to that one part, dip your finger right back into the tinsel color and pat that flat. Make sure that that looks like you want it. If there's pieces that you don't want, pick those pieces off. At this point the dip base is still wet, so you can kind of move things around, get things looking exactly the way you want, and you're back in business. No need to redo the whole nail. Just add dip to dip base back to the spaces where you feel like you need to add more, and then dip your finger back in the dip and you'll be good to go. Now we're getting ready to do the red, which is the last color, the red color, because of course we need red for a Christmas mani. You have to have red. This red is so easy to work with. It goes on super smooth. I did 2 coats of it, although I probably could have gotten away with 1, but just in my head, I always tell myself, you need 2 coats. Now, I don't know why I keep telling myself that, but it usually works out because my dip base is so thin. I usually just put 2 coats of all colors that I use, and I add a clear on top of that. So I'm going to add a clear on top of this one, and then we'll activate and move on to the last step. Now on this red nail, I decided to do a little bit of the tinsel color on one side of the red nail, which is kind of a semi-ombre, but not necessarily an ombre. I just wanted a little bit of glitter or the tinsel on the side of the red nail. So I used a little cheap makeup brush that I got from the dollar store. It's a Wet n Wild brush. I'll try to see if I can leave a link for that in the description box if I can find it. I used that and I just tapped the color on there. Then I used a big makeup brush to dust it off just to see what we're left with. If I like what we're left with, then we stop here. If not, then I go back in with a little dip base on the glitter part, tap a little more glitter on it, pat it down, and then go from there. So in this case, once I dusted it off, I saw glitter pieces on the red side of the nail that I didn't necessarily care for. So I just used my dotting tool to scrape those little pieces of tinsel off, which you see they come off very easily. It's very easy to manipulate things around once you get things placed. If you don't like where things are, use your little tool, scrape it off. If you want more, put some dip base, add something else there. I mean, it's very forgiving and easy to work with. You just kind of have to know what you want and the look that you want. Once you start working with it, if things don't look the way you like, go back in, add some more, take some off, go with what you like. Now when I dusted that off, I decided I wanted to go back in and add some more color to the red nail. So I went back and added more tinsel to the red side of the nail. So now the whole nail has a very thin layer of the tinsel color all over it. So I'm just going to keep working with that red nail until it gets to the desired look, and then we'll top that with clear. Now I'm going to use my trusty dotting tool again. You can see little pieces of the tinsel parts of the fruitcake dip sticking up. I just used that while the dip base was wet. I used the tip of the marbling tool just to lay it down flat. Now I'm just going to apply activator to the last 2 nails, and then I'm going to file and buff off camera. I'm going to do a separate video on how I file and buff my nails to get to the shape that I like. It's very important to the final outcome. Filing and buffing is very important. Like, it's very important to the final look. You want things to look smooth. Now here my nails are filed and buff, and you can tell the difference between how it looked before and how it looks now. Now it's time to apply the final coat of activator, which I will do. And then we let that sit exactly 2 minutes, and then we put the top coat on, and then we're done. Now after you've let the activator sit for 2 minutes, it's very important that you use a paper towel or a lint-free wipe to wipe the excess activator off the nail. That will harden your top coat brush, and you do not want that. I accidentally deleted the footage of me putting the first coat of top coat on. I have no idea what happened to it, but I was so glad I still had the second coat footage because I am able to show the final product, and this is it. The colors are absolutely beautiful. If you're looking for Christmas colors, again, I will leave a link to all these colors and Revel's website in the description box. I will show you all some pictures of the final product. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. My link is in the description box and in the bio of my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you all later. See you in the next video. Bye for now.